get up. It's 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. Look at that clock. Look at it. It's Monday. You got to get up. All right, 19 minutes. 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. It is July 13th, 2015. You're listening to The Source, WOCA. And thank you for tuning in to The Source. Broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall, by the way, just outside the WOCA commissary, where you, too, can get a bite to eat. Right now, 72 degrees. There is rain in this afternoon's forecast. High temperatures in the lower 90s today. And that's just the way it's going to be for the next 6, 7, 8 weeks or something like that. Good morning, Robin. How you doing?
Good. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Pretty good. I had a lot of people flying flags in Ocala yesterday.
Yeah, on vehicles, cars, trucks, motorcycles, everywhere.
The flag that they call the rebel flag, the flag that they call the Confederate flag.
The battle flag.
A couple different names for it. So let's talk about that. I know we've done this before.
Yeah.
But you know what we haven't done before with this, which is what I want to do this morning. What does it represent? What does that flag represent? What does any flag represent? A flag represents the statement that makes that country that the flag represents, right?
Right,
Which
exactly.
is the Constitution. So,
right.
Do you know what the Constitution of the Confederate States of America says?
No, I don't.
All right, then. I have, not the whole thing. Mostly it's about just setting up a government for the South. But there's some interesting parts in the Constitution for the Confederate States of America that I thought you should know about.
I didn't realize it was created.
So I will tell you some of the pieces that caught my attention and see if you think it has anything to do at all with why people want or don't want this flag.
Okay.
Being flown. And then the other thing I wanted to give you is some information that I think is just to support my opinion, that the Johnny Rebel statue should stay.
Yeah.
Now, I could argue with you that the flag should go away, at least as far as flying it in a state setting. I don't think you should be denied the right to fly it if you want to fly it. But I think in a state setting, in a city setting, I think it's probably a good idea to remove it, and especially when you hear what the Constitution of the Confederate States of America had to say. Yeah, because that's what the flag represents.
Okay.
I mean, you might disagree with me. That's what we're talking about. But as far as the statue, as far as the men who died in the Civil War fighting for the South, that statue should remain. I'm getting into it now, and I don't want to get into it now. But that's what we're going to talk about at 7:35. Deal?
Deal.
I will let your phone calls through. You can disagree with me vehemently.
Yes.
But I will express my opinion. You might disagree with me, Robin. Carol Ann might disagree with me with the flag. But anyway, I love you all.
She's got a cool picture on
She's
her
fair.
site.
I love Carolyn. She's great.
On Carolyn's site.
Carolyn,
Facebook.
dragging her name into this morning thing. But anyway, I saw her picture of her. She was wearing a Confederate flag shirt.
Yes, she was.
All right, so I just want to tell you what it says in the Constitution. That's what the flag represents. This flag that we have in this studio right here, this one we call the American flag. Gosh, I'm so proud of what that represents. I'm so proud of what that Constitution says. I'm so proud of the 13th Amendment that fixed a wrong that we had with our Constitution. You know, we've had some fixes. We've grown. We've become a better nation, and that's a flag right there.
Yeah.
That's a flag to be proud of, right there, that red, white, and blue.
It is. It's right there.
News bites, that's when we turn off our opinion. We simply read the news to you. We'll deliver that news. Medical reporter Bern Perry, so is she back from the Philippines?
I don't know. I
Still
haven't
there?
gotten a text yet from her, so
Right.
she'll text me.
Her
if
mother
she won't
was
be here.
not doing well, and so we were praying for her mother and continued to do so, and for Bern and her family.
Yeah.
If she is back, then she'll be in the studio live. If she is not back, then you'll hear a rebroadcast from something she did before. She's really a delightful lady. Patrick Walsh is a veteran entrepreneur and the CEO of AirSign Incorporated. He's going to talk to us. Oh, this is the eco blimp thing.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
It's cool.
So today, right? No, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Tomorrow at the Florida Executive Airport, they're launching a new blimp.
In Orlando.
Did I say that?
You said Florida Executive Airport.
Oh, I didn't say where it was. Okay. In Orlando, yes. The launch of the new Eco Blimp. I have no idea what it is, but I'm anxious to find out what it is. It's a new blimp.
Yeah.
Can I ride in it? This is what I want to know.
I hope so.
Did you hear that the Orlando Eye broke down again?
No, I did not. Oh, that's bad
I'd be afraid
news.
to climb into that thing.
Yeah.
Henry Beard and Christopher Surf have a very, fascinating book they've written. It looks like a dictionary. It is called Spinglish. You want to have the words that'll spin the language? This is a great book.
Yeah.
It is cool. What was the one I was going to share with you? I could open it up to any page. A gallerist is an art dealer.
Okay.
Game management is the hunting or mass slaughter of wild animals.
I thought that was searching for a video game you liked.
A full-time job is a phrase used by McDonald's to describe a no-benefits position at its restaurants that typically pay $8.20 an hour for a work week of no more than 30 hours. Oh, goodness. Full-figured means fat.
Gee.
Distressed produce means spoiled fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Distressed produce.
A convenience fee. This is one I like. A convenience fee is a surcharge typically for the privilege of paying for an item with a credit card. I love. Yeah, it's true. That convenience fee that just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
A convenience fee.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's what they're going to talk about. Their book called Spinglish. Auto repair with personal care. Matt Gibbs will be here at 10:05. He's the owner of Sunrise Automotive and Crossroad Auto Sales. He's my mechanic and may just very well be my car dealer in the near future.
Yep.
I hope not. Hope my car lasts. Scott Smith at 10:35. Scott is a entrepreneur. He's got a book called A Nobody for Everybody in 2016. I don't know if he's hinting that he wants to run for presidency or not. He says, why run a 21st century economy on a 19th century operating system? So we'll hear what he has to say at 10:35.
Yeah, that's a good statement.
In the studio, a good friend from a long time ago, Barbara Leonard, is going to be here. She's a spokesperson for ACEs for Autism, one of the leading ladies in our community in the quest to find the best possible education and life circumstances for children and adults with autism. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's truly a hero in that field. She's coming in to talk to us about the third annual ACEs for Autism 2015 fundraising event for New Horizon Academy, one of my favorite schools. I haven't been there in a while, but
yeah, it's a great
fell
school.
in love with that school a long time ago. Barbara and her husband, the late great Don Leonard, introduced us to that school.
Mm-hmm. It is a wonderful school.
And fun with Joe today. Oh, first names.
Okay.
It's a simple game because the answers are all first names. So you could say Bill, and you could be right. You could say William. You could say Bob. You see, it's all the answers are first names.
Okay.
All right. So I'll give you hints, and then you tell me what you think the first name is. And when Galen comes on, he might still be in Atlanta. I'm not so sure, but he travels a lot, you know.
Yeah, he said he was driving up there yesterday.
And so I have some travel accessories that are really kind of new to the new technology age. That you're going to love some of these things. You're going traveling anytime soon. You're going to love some of these travel accessories. I don't even want to. I'm so tempted to give you an example of one.
Ooh, okay.
All right, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Shampoo is often not allowed on airplanes because it's too big.
Right.
So they have now these sheets. You know those mouth freshener sheets you put in your mouth.
Oh,
the
yeah.
little like half an inch by half an
Yeah,
inch.
I forget what they're called.
Do they just melt on your tongue?
Had those, yeah.
Okay, well they have these sheets. They're bigger than that, but they're dry, so they're not violating the TSA codes or whatever it is when you go on an airplane. And when you get into the shower, you take this sheet and you put it on your head, and you allow the water to get on your head, and it becomes shampoo.
Oh, how cool
The
is
sheet
that?
dissolves with the water, becomes shampoo.
That is cool.
And a laundry soap, the same thing. A sheet that becomes laundry detergent.
Wow.
Someone has figured out a way to make sheets that are become with just add water.
Yeah.
You just add water. So that's one of the things. But there's a whole bunch of things on there that you can take traveling with you that'll make traveling a little bit easier.
Nice.
Let's see what else is in the news. Yesterday, there's a group of people that want to have a meeting Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. It's a sit-in, a peaceful sit-in protest. People against the flying of the Confederate flag on the McPherson complex. So they'll be doing that at 9 a.m. Brown Memorial Funeral Home is sponsoring that, I think.
Oh, okay.
If I understand right.
Okay.
And here's another human rights story from Walt Disney World. There's a guy who works at Walt Disney World who is of the Sikh religion.
Okay.
You know the Sikh religion, right?
Not really. I've heard of it.
Yeah, I
but
don't know much about it
really
either.
Know what
but you know that
it is.
pretty much the guys all have big beards and turbans.
Right, exactly.
Not to be confused with turbines.
No, that's dangerous.
Turbans. Anyway, so he's been working at Disney World for 7 years. But Disney said, you got the turban, you got the beard, we don't want people to see you. So he delivers mail in the Magic Kingdom. He delivers mail in Disney World.
Oh, gee.
So he's the mail guy, the internal mail delivery guy.
Yeah.
So they've changed their mind. They said, you can now be visible to the public.
Well, thank God. Gee.
Fox News Radio, I'm Gary Baumgarten. A deal between European nations and Greece agreeing to cuts in order to avoid default and remain with the euro, but this now requires the approval of Greek lawmakers.
Now the real work begins for Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras here. He will come back and he will have a battle on his hands with the Greek Parliament.
Fox Business Network reporter Ashley Webster in Athens. Still no deal in Iran nuke talks, but not from a lack of trying.
Secretary of State John Kerry and his team have obviously gone to great lengths to try to reach a deal, despite Iran's repeated violations of UN sanctions and general destabilizing behavior.
Fox News reporter Kevin Cork says an announcement, deal or no deal, could come today. The escape of Mexico's top drug kingpin from a maximum security prison for a second time prompts Donald Trump to tweet, "I told you so." Fox News, we report, you decide.
There's more to Fox News Radio than meets the ear. Go behind the headlines and join the conversation on the hottest stories of the day on the Fox News Radio Facebook page. Be a part of the Fox News Radio Facebook fan community. Post comments and tell us your opinions. See behind-the-scenes photos and videos and post your reactions to the stories that matter to you. Click the like button on Facebook and connect with breaking news and features like Fox in the Fast Lane, House Call for Help, and more. Go to Facebook.com/Fox News Radio.
Weeknights, we're busting out a brand new lineup. First, market fraud, government abuse, corruption. At 5, nothing's off limits on money with Melissa Francis. Then, from bloated bank fees to consumer scams. At 6, Jerry's exposing the issues impacting your wallet. Plus, get smart market insight and trusted analysis you won't find anywhere else. At 7, Lou Dobbs is all business. And the first and last name in business, Cavuto. Shedding light on the biggest stories making headlines at 8. Only on the Fox Business Network, giving you the power to prosper.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
Hey Ocala, this is Kelly Hart, executive editor of Ocala Magazine. Did you know last year Ocala Magazine won more awards in excellence than any other publication in Florida? And this year, Ocala Magazine was named Best Consumer Magazine in the state. Now you can join me every Friday at 10 a.m. on Ocala Magazine Radio, where we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life, right here on The Source. Ocala Magazine thanks you for making us number one. And remember, there's only one Ocala Magazine.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. Let's real quick look at the weather forecast. 72 degrees right now here at The Source. Broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall. There is a 50% chance we'll see rain today. Otherwise, just kind of a mixture of clouds and sun. Looks pretty nice right now. Thunderstorms are expected to develop this afternoon. High temperatures around 91 degrees. Wind from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And lows tonight around 72 degrees. So it's pretty much the way it's been. It's a little bit, I think, slightly cooler, right? 91 degrees.
So. Yeah.
Here in the middle of July, it's supposed to be hot, no matter where you live, unless you're in Australia, where I guess they're going through a winter, right? Isn't that weird? And the other side of the bottom half of the world, I guess you call it the bottom half.
Right, exactly.
All right, so. What did I promise I was going to talk about? Oh, the Confederacy.
Yes.
All right, so yesterday there were, I think they said 2,000 people out there with their, expressing their opinion about the Confederate flag.
On Saturday? Wow.
Well, yesterday, I think it was. No?
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I thought it was Saturday at 10 o'clock.
I don't know. I thought it was yesterday. But anyway, the point is, whether you're for the flag or against the flag, you need to know what the Constitution of the Confederacy said.
Right.
So I want to share that with you. I also want to, before I do that, I want to tell you my reasons why. Just put the flag issue aside for a second. I'm going to defend the Johnny Rebel statue. Now, the Johnny Rebel statue, which represents the soldiers that fought for the Confederate Army, is in the Veterans Memorial Park. It is where it belongs. It perhaps did not belong over by the courthouse, which is where it once stood. It was probably a good thing to move that. Putting it in the Veterans Park is where it belongs. It does not deserve to be taken down. Let me explain why I say this. I did my homework. I have to look at my homework.
Well, I agree because it's Veterans Memorial Park.
Well, let me tell you something about the soldiers who that statue represents.
Okay.
The argument that the Civil War was not about slavery, that it was about states' rights, is accurate. But there was the right to have slaves, so they wanted to have their rights, but they wanted the right to have slaves. But that's aside from the fact. They also wanted the right to decide whether or not they were going to send their men into battle. The Confederate draft was enacted on April 16th of 1862. That's more than a year before the Union decided to draft men in the northern states.
Oh.
The Confederacy took that step because it had to. It was already being assailed on every front from overwhelming numbers, and the defending armies needed men to fill the ranks, so they had a compulsory draft.
Okay.
It was very unpopular in the South because it was, again, going against the rights of the states. But this time, the federal, I guess you would say the national government, the Confederacy government, the government of the Confederate States of America was saying all men in the Confederacy must, between the ages of 18 and 35, this would be white men, by the way, all white men would have to be reporting for a 3-year term of service. If you're going to tell me that black men fought in the Confederate Army, don't call me on that, because I know that. And I also know that it was a last-ditch effort to try to save the South. They put their slaves into the armies. Yeah, they were paid, so they were technically no longer slaves. They were paid equal, from what I understand, to the white guys, which the North wasn't even doing that.
Yeah.
They were even shortchanging the black soldiers on the North. So, but I want to tell you about the soldiers that statue represents. They were between the ages of 18 and 35. They, for the most part, didn't want to be there. They were, for the most part, poor. They were, for the most part, not slave owners themselves. By the time February of 1864 came around, the age limits had gone down to 17 and up to 50, which means that Johnny Rebel represents, later on in the war, the Civil War, men who were as young as 17 and as old as 50. That's a pretty big span of men.
Huge.
Keep in mind, these were men who, for the most part, were poor, men, for the most part, who didn't want to be in there because they were forced, they were drafted, men who thought that the Confederacy was going to give them states' rights, and yet the very Confederacy that they supported turned its back on them by saying, you have to serve, and so they did.
Yeah.
And they did. And they did. And since they did, and they were not slave owners. Let me tell you something, just to underscore that, to prove that to you, okay? The Confederate Congress exempted anyone who owned 20 or more slaves.
Oh, my.
Most slave owners owned 20 or more slaves.
Because they were rich.
They were rich. They were rich. They owned human beings.
Yeah.
They owned human beings to do the work on the farms for them. And so those white men between the ages of 17 and 50 did not have to serve. And if you had fewer than 20 slaves, you could still get out of going into war by, guess what? Sending your slaves into war.
I believe that.
Or sending somebody else into war on your behalf.
Yeah, sure. Gee.
A rich drafted man could hire a substitute to take his place in the ranks. Many governors in the South, including the governor of Georgia and the governor of North Carolina, were vehemently opposed to the draft and worked to thwart its effect in their states. Thousands of men were exempted by the sham addition of their names to the civil servant rolls. 92% of all exemptions for state service came from Georgia and North Carolina. So they were figuring out a way to keep their guys from there because they didn't want to fight in it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to fight in it. They wanted states' rights.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't want this. And so this is why I say the Johnny Reb statue represents men who simply did what they had no choice to do.
Yeah.
They were not the rich ones. They were not the slave owners. They were the rank and file guys just trying to make a living like 90% of us.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up dying on the battlefield. That's who that represents, just so you know. So if you want to know if I'm for or against removing the Johnny Reb flag from the Veterans Park, I'm against removing it.
Yeah.
If you want me to make an exact statement, that's it. I'm against removing it, and that's the reasons why. The flag is a different story. The flag represents a constitution of the Confederate States of America. Confederate States of America was started because they were unhappy with the pressures from the United States of America. They wanted their own country because they wanted what they said was state rights. What they really wanted was to be able to have the right to have slaves. It was about slavery. You can tell me all day long it wasn't about slavery.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the Constitution to the United States looks very similar to the Constitution of the Confederate States of America. It reads pretty much the same, especially in the preamble. The Constitution to the United States of America had its own sets of problems, but were corrected later on. Mm-hmm. 13th Amendment being the one, of course, that abolished slavery. That wasn't until January 31st of 1865. So even the North was still legally entitled, I guess is the word, to have slaves up
Right.
until that point.
Right, and some did.
And some did. The states that are named in the Lincoln thing, what was that thing called again? The statement he wrote to abolish slavery.
Oh, gosh.
The Emancipation Proclamation. The states that are named in the Emancipation Proclamation were the states that did not abolish slavery yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people will argue that it had only abolished the ones in the South. Well, no, it didn't, because it had already been abolished in the North by the 13th Amendment.
Yeah.
Let me take a break. And when I come back, I want to read to you some specific things from the Constitution of the Confederate States of America. And once you hear that, you tell me, do you want to hold up that flag in pride or not? We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds and some sunshine today with a couple of heavy thunderstorms around during the afternoon and evening hours. The high today 90 to 94. And partly to mostly cloudy later tonight, those 73 to 77. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm or two around, mainly during the afternoon and evening hours. The high 90 to 94. And for Wednesday, partly sunny with an afternoon thunderstorm, high 88 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Busch scores win number 2 in Kentucky. This is the Coca-Cola Monday Morning Race Refresher, sponsored by Coca-Cola. Enjoy the race with an ice-cold Coke, the official soft drink of NASCAR.
Tony Stewart and Joey Logano shopping together at the store. You two must be best friends.
No. We're here with all the drivers from the Coca-Cola racing family.
Racing family? So you're brothers. That's the best kind of best buddies.
Co-workers.
Working together to stick together.
I think we should go. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I knew it. You two should get a friendship bracelet.
Coca-Cola, open happiness. Official soft drink of NASCAR.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series debuted a new low downforce aero package for the cars on Saturday night at Kentucky Speedway. A new package that NASCAR had hoped would provide more exciting racing. It seemed to work with 13 lead changes and a track record 11 caution flags. Leading the most laps during the 400-mile event was Kyle Busch, who was able to hold off Joey Logano at the finish to score his second win of the season.
You know, getting out there and the end of the race was pretty fun, and being able to chase down Logano. With the old package, I felt like you would have kind of got stuck, and he could have just blocked you no matter what, and you would have been stuck there. But this package here, it allowed you to turn and move around and get underneath them.
After missing the opening races of the season due to injury, Busch remains outside of the all-important top 30 in the Sprint Cup standings, now 87 points out of 30th, which is where he needs to be for a shot at the championship trophy. Logano finished second on Saturday, while Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth completed the top 5. Kevin Harvick finished 8th and remains the championship points leader heading to New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire this weekend. This has been the Coca-Cola Monday Morning Race Refresher. Enjoy the race with an ice-cold Coke, the official soft drink of NASCAR. I'm Kyle Rickey on the Motor Racing Network.
Robin, let's try a little plant trivia. Name this nursery. It's a not-for-profit, and it teaches growing and caring for plants to their students.
Oh, that's easy. Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? It's a nursery conveniently located between Ocala and Bellevue.
Again, it's Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? A nursery with a wide variety of just what you need or want at the most reasonable prices.
Kenny's Place, of course.
Kenny's Place at 7677 Southeast 41st Court. Give them a call at 867-1213. It's a caring place for people and plants. It's Kenny's Place. All right, 12 minutes before 8 o'clock. Beautiful looking Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you did something fun. And if you're not, then you got another weekend just 4 days from now.
Yeah,
just
coming
just
up.
4 or 5 days from now. Whatever you consider the weekend. I always consider Friday one of the days of the weekend. It's just a mental thing I do so that I can imagine that I have a 3-day weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I did not do this weekend that I regret was cutting my grass.
Oh,
Because now, next time I go out there, it's going to be probably not till Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
You got to cut your grass. It's kind of like shaving. If you don't shave every day,
Mhm.
it's so hard to shave.
That's right.
The longer you wait, the harder it is, right?
Yeah.
All right, 73 degrees. Let's jump over to this next thing. The phone lines are open. You are welcome to call me. I want to tell you what the Constitution of the Confederate States of America had to say. First of all, let me just recap. The Constitution looks very similar, reads very similar to the Constitution of the United States. The preamble is very similar, and et cetera. In fact, let me just read the preamble of the United States of America, just so you remember. The preamble to the United States of America, this is the U.S., the one we are under right now. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That's the U.S. Constitution. The preamble to the Confederate Constitution says, we, the people of the Confederate States, each state acting in its sovereign and independent character, in order to form a permanent federal government, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, invoking the favor and guidance of Almighty God, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the Confederate States of America. Very similar. You can see where they specifically made sure to mention that each state acting in its sovereign and independent character, which is why everybody says it was about states' rights, but what were they wanting the right to do? This is the part you can't ever forget. So if you read through it, it's more like housekeeping. It's more like setting up who's going to be able to run for office, how old do you have to be, how many people will be represented per capita. In other words, if I can't remember what the number was, but one representative for every X number of people in a district, etc. All right. So here's one thing I wanted to read to you, and this is actually very similar to the U.S. Constitution. So I'll start with something softball. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this confederacy according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, and 3/5 of all slaves. Let me just read to you what it says in the actual U.S. Constitution. It said, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons.
Okay.
Now, that was amended by the 14th Amendment, just so you know that that's not in there anymore.
Right.
But just think about what they're saying here. Both.
Yes.
The original U.S. Constitution, which that part was amended, that's not in there anymore, and the Constitution for the Confederate States. The slaves were not considered whole people. They were considered 3/5 of a person.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Think about that for a second. Just think about that. Now, that's the whole country.
Yeah.
That was the mental part of the whole country.
Yeah.
Okay? Back when we first started the country all the way to the 1860s when we had the Civil War. All right, now let me read to you what it says in Article 4 of the Confederate Constitution.
Okay.
It says, no slave or other person held to service or labor in any state or territory of the Confederate States, under the laws thereof, escaping or lawfully carried into another, shall in consequence of any law or regulation therein be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such slave belongs, or to whom such service or labor may be due. In other words, if a slave were to leave, he would still be a slave and still be the property of the person who owned him or her.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's not as hardball as the last piece I want to read to you. It says, in all such territory, the institution of Negro slavery, as it now exists in the Confederate States, shall be recognized and protected by Congress and by the territorial government, and the inhabitants of the several Confederate states and territories shall have the right to take to such territory any slaves lawfully held by them in any of the states or territories of the Confederate States, specifically naming black people.
Gosh.
For those who say there were white slaves, yeah, there were back in Egypt days.
Yeah.
But in this country, it was specifically targeted toward Africans who were yet to be called African Americans.
Exactly.
They were imported from the continent of Africa, often sold to the slave buyers by their fellow Africans. We know those stories.
Yes, we do.
That's their guilt. That's not our guilt.
No.
This is our guilt. This is the part of our history that you have to look at and say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? So now you know that. If you didn't already know it, if you didn't even know that there was such a constitution.
I didn't know. I honestly am ashamed to say I did not know there was a constitution.
And I know you've heard this argument already before, but let's talk specifically about the flag now that everybody's carrying around.
Mm-hmm.
The flag that was flown over McPherson was the national flag of the Confederate States of America. It does not look exactly like the flag that you see on the Dukes of Hazzard car.
Right.
But it was the national flag. That actually should be more offensive to anybody because that actually represents this Constitution that I just read you excerpts from.
Okay.
That flag actually represents that.
Gosh.
There were several different designs to the Confederate flag. The flags differed depending on which region they were used in and the regiment that they represented. The most recognizable is the Confederate battle flag. That's the one you know from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Mm-hmm.
It represented the Army of Northern Virginia. That's the flag that everybody's flying. The Confederate battle flag is also known as the Rebel flag or the Dixie flag and incorrectly referred to as the Stars and Bars. The Confederate battle flag never actually represented the Confederate States of America as a nation.
There you go.
So with that in mind, I mean, take it. Hey, I'm just giving you information. What do you think now? If you didn't already know this, what do you think now?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Hopefully, I made a case for the statue, and hopefully, I'm giving some information so you have an opinion about this flag. The state flags of Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee are all based on the Confederate flags. The flag of North Carolina is also based on the state's 1861 flag, which dates back to the Confederacy and appears to be based on the first Confederate flag.
Mm-hmm.
The first official flag of the Confederacy, called the Stars and Bars, was flown from March 5th, 1861 to March 26th, 1863. You can look it up so you know what it looks like.
Okay.
And there you go.
Very interesting stuff.
There you go.
I never knew there was a constitution for the Confederate
So now you know,
States.
now you know some of the parts of the Constitution that flag represented, and really, truthfully, the battle flag. And if the battle flag was the flag that the soldiers marched under, which it sounds like it was only a portion of the
in North Virginia
of the Army,
yeah.
But still, I mean, go back to my argument for keeping the statue, and draw your own conclusion with that one. Bottom line is it offends some people.
Yeah.
And the other bottom line is people hold it with a sense of pride. And there's another element to this, too. It's what the flag represents to today's individuals.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent any of those things to today's individuals. So they've all got their own reasons. Good morning. You're on the air.
Larry, thank you for the history lesson. That was really interesting.
You're welcome.
And the Stars and Bars, the first Confederate flag, it's a big red stripe, a big white stripe, and a blue field in the corner with a circle of white stars in it. And if you showed that to the average person on the street and said, what flag is this? They would have no idea. They would probably think it was from some country in Asia or Africa or something.
Yeah, when I saw it, I didn't recognize it.
No idea what that is.
Yeah.
And but I know we don't have much time, but I did want to say something about the 3/5 compromise and where slaves were counted as 3/5 of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's often misunderstood. That was a victory for the northern states that didn't have slaves over the southern slaveholders, because the southern slaveholders wanted all their slaves counted when it came to representatives in Congress, which was, that's obviously ridiculous, statement in itself. But the northern states fought to get it down to 3/5 of a person for the census, because otherwise, if they hadn't fought for that, the southern states would have had even more members in Congress, and it would have been even harder to get any laws changed, because the power of the southern states would have been greater. So that was a victory for the northern states. It was not did not say that a black person was 3/5 of a human being. It said that they counted 3/5 for representation in Congress. And like I said, if that hadn't been pushed through and fought for, the situation would have been even worse when it came to passing laws and everything before the Civil War. And I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Larry.
I appreciate that. I didn't know that part of it, but
wow.
Well, it just goes to show how far we've come, and we are better today.
Mm-hmm.
And that flag that I will fly, the red, white, and blue, the one with the 13 red and white stripes, the one with the 50 white stars on a blue background.
Yeah.
That's the one that I'm proud of, because that's the one that represents some real changes in this world, some real freedoms in this world. That's the one that I'm going to fly.
Exactly.
We'll take a little break and we'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM.